Hi, everyone. I'm here to introduce you to a great tool that will help struggling readers and spellers. Part of my mission is to raise awareness about dyslexia in order to help parents and teachers find solutions for their struggling readers and spellers. Dyslexia is the most common reason a child or adult will struggle to read and spell. It's my goal and my team's goal to transform lives through literacy, allowing struggling readers and spellers to realize their full potential and know they're smart and capable. I'm Kelly Steinke. I'm the founder of Read Learning Educational Services and the author of Silver Moon Spelling Rules Supplemental Curriculum. I work with students, families, teachers, and school districts to improve student learning outcomes in literacy. Additionally, I'm an instructor at the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh and former president of the Wisconsin branch of the International Dyslexia Association. Earlier in my career as a special ed teacher, and you can see from my slide that I've lived and taught in a few different locations, including Wisconsin, Massachusetts, and Washington states. I'd like to introduce real quickly the two lovely ladies you see on the right of my slide here. They are my daughters. Although one is blonde and one is brunette, they are twins. This is kind of funny because despite how different they are, people regularly call them by the other one's name. I'm bringing them up because they both have a lot of compassion for those affected by learning disabilities, like dyslexia, because they're both dyslexic. So with the goal to raise awareness and support families in our community, 2 years ago, they founded a 501c3 nonprofit called Leaders Supporting Readers. And just by way of connecting with all the other animal lovers out there, I can't forget to introduce these two snuggly pups on my slide, Natty and Fisher. Natty is our resident reading coach at Read Learning, which is my reading center located in Appleton, Wisconsin. And Fisher is just great at being adorable. He's a bundle of energy and he's still under a year old. Like many people find in life, it's our struggles that often propel us forward and into action to help others. I'm about to share with you a problem I struggled with as a teacher and a parent of struggling readers and spellers, and what exactly it was I did to find a solution. So thank you for joining me today. While I'm thinking of it, I'd like to encourage you to follow us and like us on our Facebook page, which you can see on the screen right in front of you. So I'm going to share a story with you. Story goes like this. During my time as a special education teacher, I noticed a real problem. My students made very little progress in reading and almost never got up to grade level, and most of their spelling was really pretty horrible. I was using reading interventions with fidelity, but nothing seemed to work. I was baffled. I couldn't figure out why. My students were smart, and they often had other areas they showed great strengths in, but when it came to reading, their progress was almost non-existent and very inconsistent. One day, I had a new 5th grade student introduce himself to me. It was the first day of school, and the student came right up to me. He made a beeline straight for me. He shook my hand heartily while sharing that he was dyslexic. He told me that I wouldn't be able to teach him how to read, but that I shouldn't worry because he was working with a specialist that would teach him how to read. All of this was shared with a real genuine smile, and I could tell the student was different. He was really confident. I was super surprised by his introduction and curious. I knew I needed to contact his parent and learn more. And this is where my journey began. I learned a lot about dyslexia. And here are some of the big ideas I learned immediately. I learned dyslexia is the first reason, and the number one reason a student will struggle to read and spell. I learned dyslexia is still misunderstood by many back then as it is today, and it's one of the most, if not the most, researched learning disability out there. I learned that dyslexia is easy to spot if you know what to look for. It affects 15 to 20% of our population. That severity will differ depending on person. It's neurobiological in origin, so it's inherited. And it requires instruction or intervention that's usually different from what we offer in our schools. I realized that I had to quit. I had quite a learning curve ahead of me. I was using all the wrong types of interventions. And if I wanted my students and my children to progress in reading and spelling, I needed different training that I hadn't yet received in my career. So the story I just shared happened about 15 years ago. It's a super condensed version. I'm sure some of you can relate to a similar story. Since then, I've delved into the research and have learned how to help kids who struggle with reading and spelling. And here are some of the conclusions I've come up with. If research has shown us that spelling and reading build and rely on the same mental representation of a word, then knowing the spelling of a word makes the representation of it sturdy and accessible for fluent reading. If this is the case, then we know that if you teach a child to spell, you can also teach a child to read. But the opposite is not necessarily true. And since we know that most struggling readers are also poor spellers, because most students struggle in these areas because of dyslexia, whether diagnosed or not, then we also know that these students don't learn to read and spell with just any type of instruction. There is actually a really large body of research called the science of reading. And this research spans over 50 years and across multiple fields. It has produced consistent and converging evidence for how struggling readers and struggling spellers develop reading skills. Evidence from the science of reading has shown that instruction for struggling readers and spellers should have certain characteristics. It should be logical, explicit, systematic, cumulative, simultaneously multisensory, and logically sequenced. Curriculum that follows this approach is often called by the names of structured literacy, structured language, or Orton-Gillingham. In response to this need for more teacher training and evidence-based materials, I created Silver Moon spelling rules. I didn't want Silver Moon to compete with a large reading adoption, which is why I didn't create a reading program per se. Instead, I went the route of creating a supplemental spelling program. And I did this very intentionally so that it could easily be used in school districts. Silver Moon is currently being used for small group instruction as an intervention tool for all ages. It's also currently being used for whole group instruction starting in first grade. It's used for one-on-one at home or private practice. It's also used at the university level as a training tool for pre-service teachers. Here's a picture of the entire Silver Moon curriculum. Silver Moon, like I said, is a supplemental resource. It teaches spelling rules explicitly and systematically to students who are at least age 6 or older. And learning to spell and learning to read require much of the same knowledge. So Silver Moon students improve their spelling as they build skills in phonics, phonemic awareness, word structure, and syllable knowledge. Silver Moon is not grade leveled. Instead, it follows a progression that's systematic and cumulative. And the image here, this picture is what our classroom super speller set looks like. This is the entire Silver Moon curriculum. Here's another picture. This is a picture of set 2. So Silver Moon contains 3 sets total, or 3 kits. And here's an example of kit 2 where students work with special units of sound like ing, ang, ong, ang. They learn the 7 reasons for silent E, and the syllable patterns for silent E, as well as the syllable pattern for consonant LE. Each of the 3 kits comes with 3 pieces. As you can see here, we've got 1 instructor's manual. We have 1 pack of student spelling rule cards. And these rule cards are very motivating because students collect the cards as they complete lessons. Each spelling rule is presented on its own card. Each has its own unique name and image and hidden picture clues. And the front of your card is an image, while the back side is an explanation. These kits also come with 1 pack of instructor's cards, and the instructor's cards are the same as the student cards. They're just larger and easier for presentation. So how does Silver Moon work? Well, each book is divided into 3 parts. Each part has a pre-test and post-test. Teachers pre-test lessons in order to use, the teachers pre-test lessons in order, using our light scripting, word tables, their student practice pages, teacher and student resources, and each lesson corresponds to 1 spelling rule, and instruction is cumulative, so there's no skipping around. Each rule has a name and face with hidden picture clues that were created intentionally to support memory. And as I said before, students collect their own set of rule cards, and they begin to understand why we spell the way we do. They stop guessing at how to spell words. This next slide is an example of 2 of our spelling rules from set 1. You'll notice they have great images, cute mnemonic-based names. Definitions are nice and clear and easy to understand. And if you look close enough, you'll probably see some hidden picture clues that help kids remember what these rules exactly are. And best of all are the results that our teachers are getting in response to using Silver Moon. Silver Moon comes with 3 pre-tests and 3 post-tests in each manual. And as you can see, the student growth is really fantastic. Our students' average increase in score is 63% when comparing your pre-test score with your post-test score. So it's quite a large leap in percentage. It's always fun also to hear what the experts are saying about Silver Moon. Here's what some of our teacher experts are saying. There's lots more testimonials on our website at www.silvermoonspellingrules.com, but you'll notice that there are some themes here: engaging pictures, vibrant, colorful, fun, ideal in length, catchy mnemonics, structured practice, improved spelling, improved word ID, intervention level, elementary and middle school level. So lots of great descriptors here, lots of great feedback that we get from our teachers using the Silver Moon system. Our students achieve an average of 63% increase on pre versus post-test scores, but here's some more statistics for you. Did you know that 95% of elementary students can learn to read given sufficient instruction? And 96% of words can be spelled without the need for memorization. In Silver Moon, students are never memorizing words. In fact, we're using real words and nonsense words to make sure kids aren't spelling purely from memory or how a word looks. Does your spelling instruction support struggling readers? Maybe your school doesn't use spelling instruction. It's one of the most overlooked vehicles for improving literacy. explicit and systematic spelling instruction. This is what Silver Moon was designed for. Here's one of our Silver Moon students learning spelling rules using her rule cards here. She's really enjoying the images and names and faces that we give in the Silver Moon system. So I'm going to flip back here. And our progression of targeted rules is very logical. In set 1, which is our blue book, we start with closed and open syllable patterns, closed and open syllable spelling rules. In set 2, which is our red book, we move into sticky units of sound, silent E, spelling rules and patterns, as well as consonant LE. In set 3, which is our ivory book, we move into vowel teams and bossy R syllables. The resource you're looking at here on the right is a teacher resource. Silver Moon is intended to be a program that you can just pick up and use. You don't need extensive training to use Silver Moon, provided you read through the manual clearly, and well before you start teaching your lessons. You should be good to go without any extensive training or the need for background. Here's an example of 2 of our student resources. As you can see, our resources are colorful, they're engaging, they're clear to look at, they're very easy to use, and they are efficient. Our students learn the 7 different types of syllables. They learn how to identify them and how to divide words into syllables. With a high level of repetition, high level of engagement, these skills that kids are learning in Silver Moon, they're all generalized to build more efficient readers and spellers. So we want to build to automaticity. So I'd like you to think about this. Would replacing your current spelling practices or possibly supplementing your reading lessons with explicit instruction in spelling rules, phonics, phonemic awareness, and word structure, would that be a game changer for your teachers and your students? During our time together, we uncovered why explicit and systematic spelling instruction is important for struggling readers and spellers. We discussed what this type of instruction looks like and why it's so important for our dyslexic learners. If you'd like to see a Silver Moon lesson, feel free to watch this demonstration or any other of our demonstrations on our YouTube channel or our website, which can be viewed at www.silvermoonspellingrules.com. And furthermore, whether you're new to this topic or you're already an expert, I hope this has piqued your interest enough to visit our website to either learn more, to download some resources, or maybe even purchase Silver Moon products to help students that you know are struggling with reading and spelling. Again, you'll find us at www.silvermoonspellingrules.com. At Silver Moon, our team believes in changing lives through literacy. And for more information, you can view the next slide for our contact information. Thank you so much for your time, attention, and for your support. Take care.